Think they let El Chapo get out of his penitentiary to go see about his knee? No.
Jay-Z is sharing a new statement after the civil case accusing him and Sean Diddy Combs of raping a teenager was dismissed.
Big breaking news tonight. For the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes.
A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in a new interview with new allegations about wild parties and drug use.
They are going to be watching basically for hours on end in front of people.
He says he's being targeted because he's a black man and the charge is rooted in racism.
A newly leaked audio recording has just surfaced, and if it's authentic, it changes everything. In the clip, Diddy is allegedly heard speaking with Jay-Z and Jay-Z's son, making statements so specific they've left listeners stunned. Even more disturbing is one moment where Diddy appears to predict being sent to the hospital before it allegedly happened, raising explosive questions about what he knew and when. The audio is now fueling intense speculation about behind-the-scenes influence, with critics asking whether Diddy had any role in how Jay-Z's case was ultimately dismissed. Coincidence, inside knowledge, or something far more calculated? As this tape circulates, the timeline is being re-examined, connections are being scrutinized, and the silence from key figures is only making the situation more unsettling. Weeks before it happened, Diddy allegedly told his son that he still had one final move left, a last-ditch play that would get him out of jail. Then, in the dead of night on February 2nd, Diddy was quietly transported from custody to a Brooklyn hospital for an MRI, far from public view. No press, no cameras, no explanation. Just days later, the case against Jay-Z was suddenly dismissed, without warning and without clarity. The timing has raised explosive questions. What really happened during that hospital visit? Who did Diddy speak to behind closed doors? And what information changed hands that was powerful enough to make an entire case disappear? Coincidence or leverage finally pulled?
You think they let El Chapo get out of his penitentiary to go see about his knee? No. He had to dig an underground tunnel and leave on a motorcycle to get out of there. So why is Diddy getting raced out in the cover of darkness, we keep hearing? Why does he get the cover of darkness? Why does he get taken out because he needs an aspirin? Help me, Dr. Hendricks.
Well, I'll tell you, each inmate gets a physical within 14 days of their arrival at any facility. And I'm sure, based on reports of him having several knee surgeries throughout the years after being a marathoner back in 2003. So this may have been in the works in terms of getting him out for an MRI, because I know that they don't have that equipment at the institution. And I'll just tell you this, they probably had set this appointment up months, maybe weeks ago, and they set it up for the evening.
To leave at 1 a.m. in the cover of darkness? Okay, you think that's what they set up, Hendricks? Look, I know you're being loyal to MDC, but can we get real? Leaving MDC Because your knee hurts? Have you seen that POC?
Jay-Z is sharing a new statement after the civil case accusing him and Sean Diddy Combs of raping a teenager was dismissed. The woman who filed the lawsuit back in October accusing Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and Combs of raping her after an awards show in 2000 when she was 13 years old. Both Carter and Combs have denied any wrongdoing. According to a new court filing, the case was dismissed yesterday after the accuser's withdrawal. In a new statement shared through Rock Nation, Jay-Z wrote that the claim hurt his family and loved ones, writing, quote, "I would not wish this experience on anyone," adding, "The frivolous, fictitious, and appalling allegations have been dismissed. This civil suit was without merit and never going anywhere."
Just listen to what Diddy told his son. He wasn't guessing, and he wasn't hoping. Diddy spoke like someone who already knew what was coming. Long before anyone else did, he made it clear he was getting out, not because the case was falling apart, but because he still had something left to play. That confidence hits differently when you look at what happened next: the late-night hospital trip, the sudden shifts behind the scenes, and the way events unfolded exactly as he said they would. This wasn't luck. This was someone who knew the outcome before the world caught on.
Prison phone call just leaked and it was posted by Social Details. This is allegedly a call that he had, and there's a lot of talk, a lot of code words in there, so we're going to listen to it together. Check it out.
Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. I'm going to need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over.
Now, this alleged leaked call from Diddy in prison was talking about getting rid of pizza boxes. Now, if you know your stuff and you're privy, you know exactly what pizza stands for, and that's probably what they're talking about and referring to on this alleged leaked call. Pizza, for those who don't know, I'm gonna make it very clean. It has to do with children and selling.
Make sure you recycle the plastic like you talked about.
Now, in this alleged phone call, he starts talking about someone named Jay. People are speculating that maybe Jay-Z, but there's no confirmation. At the same time, he talks about recycling plastic. I don't know what that could mean. If you guys have any idea, comment and let me know.
Everybody out there quiet as a motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh.
I mean, it seems by the call that he's looking for help. He's saying that a lot of people are quiet, I guess people that are on his side, and that he's gonna have the last laugh at the end.
Man, just do what I told you to do, and don't forget about the list.
And then he goes on to say, don't forget about the list. And we don't know what that list is or what that implies, but this is pretty crazy. Do I think this is legitimate? There is no confirmation yet if this is legitimate or not, but this is the alleged leak call.
Did Diddy pressure the victim into dropping the case against both him and Jay-Z? And if so, who made that possible? Those questions exploded after reports surfaced that Diddy was allowed to leave custody in the middle of the night, despite prosecutors already raising concerns about witness contact. How does someone considered this dangerous get quietly transferred without public notice? Why was he permitted to move at all when investigators were allegedly aware of ongoing attempts to reach victims? Call records are now being pointed to as evidence that intimidation may have continued even while he was under supervision. If that's true, the bigger question isn't just what Diddy did. It's who looked the other way, who signed off, and why the safeguards meant to protect witnesses suddenly failed at the most critical moment.
New details this morning in the second case against Sean Diddy Combs. Prosecutors now claiming that from behind bars, Combs has been trying to reach out to victims and possible witnesses. And ABC's Phil Lipoff is here now with this story. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Gio. Diddy's lawyers trying for a third time to get him out on bail, but this time, the prosecution telling the judge about attempts they say the rap mogul made from behind bars to influence everyone from potential jury to alleged victims. This morning, prosecutors leveling new accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, saying he poses a serious risk of danger even from behind bars as he awaits trial. In a court filing late Friday, prosecutors detailing the steps they say Combs is taking while locked up to reach out to prospective witnesses and influence public opinion to affect potential jurors.
The accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges of racketeering, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. He denies any wrongdoing. The government now asking a judge not to grant Combs' third request for bail, in which the music mogul offers a $50 million bail package citing new evidence and changed circumstances.
This was supposed to be an open and shut case, at least on paper. Recordings now circulating online are being cited by critics as evidence that individuals tied to Jay-Z's defense discussed witness manipulation tactics so extreme they allegedly involved posing as federal agents and flashing fake badges. If authentic, that alone would constitute a serious federal crime. Yet despite the existence of these recordings, the case against Jay-Z was abruptly dismissed, with no public explanation addressing the substance of those claims. That sudden reversal has ignited a far bigger question. Who is actually pulling the strings behind the scenes? And does Diddy's reported access to powerful figures, including political leadership in New York, play a role in how this entire situation unfolded? Because when evidence appears to exist and accountability still evaporates, the story stops being about guilt or innocence and starts being about power.
But now in a new lawsuit, a Texas man is claiming Jay-Z's lawyers are bribing people to sue Busby and his law firm. This 13-page lawsuit was filed on January 3rd in Harris County, Texas, and the plaintiff in the filing is being represented by none other than Busby's law firm, who filed the suit on his behalf. Now, Jose Maldonado, who is the plaintiff in this suit, is suing Jay-Z's attorneys and his company Rock Nation, but not Sean Carter, aka Jay-Z himself. According to the lawsuit, the defendants in this suit are Marcy Bryan Croft, her law firm MJ Legal, Rock Nation, and the law firm who is representing Jay-Z, Quinn Emanuel Urquhart and Sullivan. They allege the defendants conspired to obstruct justice by engaging in shadowy operatives to illegally get more than 24 current and former clients of Busby law firm to turn around and sue them. The suit claims Rock Nation is financing this alleged effort, while attorneys Marcy Croft and the law firm Quinn Emanuel are orchestrating this whole thing. According to the suit, the defendants' agents were pretending to work for the state of Texas and allegedly flashed fake badges.
If he was a part of that, how the f*** he get the key to the city? That's crazy to me. If he was in incidents and everything around the city that wasn't favorable, how he get key to the city? So now you got to realize, if they had the mayor under investigation since 2014, Diddy was an investigation around 2011, 9 or 11, something like that. They say either 9 or 11. One of those people are responsible for the feds looking out after one, or either Diddy responsible, his interaction with the mayor, or the mayor interaction with Diddy may have caused the feds to be looking at both of them in some form or fashion. I don't know which one was first. Was it Diddy interaction with the mayor, or the mayor interaction with Diddy? Which one did the Fed have under surveillance first? And I think it was probably...
The timing alone has raised serious questions. Diddy reportedly suffered a massive legal setback, a $100 million loss, just as New York Mayor Eric Adams was himself facing indictment, and critics can't ignore that both men, described as close allies, found themselves under legal pressure at the same moment. Is this really coincidence, or parallel fallout from something larger? What complicates the picture further is that Mayor Adams allegedly knew an investigation involving Diddy was already underway, yet still publicly honored him with the key to the city. To skeptics, that gesture now looks less like recognition and more like reputation management, an attempt to sanitize public perception while serious allegations loomed in the background. And when political power, celebrity influence, and legal accountability collide this closely, the question isn't just what happened, it's who benefited from the timing.
Breaking news tonight, and for the first time in the history of New York City, a sitting mayor has been indicted for crimes. ABC News reporting that Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We do not know yet the exact charges. Federal authorities have been investigating Adams and members of his staff, issuing subpoenas for documents and cell phones. Several members of administration have resigned, some of them also friends of Mayor Adams. Again, Eric Adams, the 110th mayor of New York, has been indicted by a federal grand jury. We'll have the latest online and tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
New at 5, the legal troubles continue for Sean Diddy Combs tonight after a judge ordered the music mogul to pay $100 million to a Michigan man who says that he was sexually assaulted by Combs in '97.
According to court documents, Derek Cardello Smith says Combs drugged and then assaulted him during an after party at a Holiday Inn in Detroit. But Combs never responded to the lawsuit in court. On Monday, the judge ordered him to pay $10 million each month starting in October. The victim is currently behind bars serving a 75-year prison sentence for criminal sexual conduct and kidnapping.
A newly released documentary has brought some of the most serious allegations yet, featuring testimony from people who worked closest to Diddy, including former assistants, longtime friends, and employees. Multiple individuals claim they personally witnessed behavior they describe as sexual assault. Among them is Philip Pines, who served as Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021. Pines alleges that he was repeatedly pressured to prove loyalty through sexual situations, describing one incident in which Diddy allegedly grabbed him by the shoulders, began massaging him, and then pushed him toward a woman on a couch while presenting a condom and urging him to perform. These accounts, if proven, paint a disturbing picture of power, coercion, and control operating behind closed doors, not as rumor, but as lived experiences now being placed on record.
Happened at these lavish, drug-fueled nights called Wild King Nights. So this 32-page lawsuit, which was reviewed by multiple outlets, including Rolling Stone, was apparently filed in Los Angeles by a man named Philip Pines, who says he worked for Diddy from 2019 to 2021. So actually more recent than some other suits we've seen against Sean Combs that have been in the early 2000s or even the 90s. But according to reporting in the suit, Pines is alleging a few different things here. Now, before we even get into it, and there is a lot to get into, you might be wondering, what the heck does that name mean? What are we talking about when we said Wild King Nights? Well, part of this lawsuit alleges that Pines had to prove his loyalty to Sean Combs, who was dubbed the King, by performing sex acts for him, hence the name Wild King Nights. The suit even reportedly says that Pines was treated, quote, like an animal playing fetch in order to prove his loyalty.
A former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs speaking out in the new interview with new allegations about wild parties and drug use. Eva Pilgrim is here with the story. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Michael. At this point, we've all probably heard about these infamous parties. Diddy's assistant now giving us details about what he says were called Wild King Nights.
This morning, new details allegedly inside Diddy's world before his shocking arrest. The entertainment mogul now behind bars for federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges.
It was a circus. He did whatever he wanted, and we were just at his disposal.
Phil Pines was Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021. He says his then boss asked him to purchase supplies for parties dubbed Wild King Nights.
We usually had a laundry list of items that included lights, alcohol, marijuana, ketamine, molly. Those requests started to become more frequent.
Pines claims many of these parties involved younger women.
A lot of times you would have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand that.
After Philip Pine's statements became public, Diddy quickly announced plans to sue NBC for $100 million over the documentary, a move critics say looks less like defense and more like damage control. According to those close to the situation, Diddy allegedly wants to stop the details from going any further and to intimidate anyone else considering speaking out. Supporters of the documentary argue that the lawsuit is designed to bury testimony under legal pressure and drag the process out long enough for public attention to fade. And that, Insiders claim maybe exactly why 50 Cent's own documentary has taken so long to surface. Not because the material isn't there, but because the legal stakes are massive, and every word has to survive a fight against one of the most aggressive silencing strategies in the industry.
Diddy Combs sues NBC for $100 million over its Peacock documentary about him. According to docs obtained by E! News February 12th, the Bad Boy Records founder filed a lawsuit against NBC Universal seeking $100 million after Peacock, the streaming service owned by the media company, released the documentary Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy. In the filing, Combs, who is currently in jail on sex trafficking and racketeering charges, accuses NBC Universal of defamation and alleged that the company maliciously and recklessly broadcast the documentary, which included claims that the rapper committed crimes like serial murder and sexual assault of minors without having a shred of evidence. The filing reads, in making and broadcasting these falsehoods, among others, defendants seek only to capitalize on the public's appetite for scandal without any regard for the truth and at the expense of Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial.
What makes this situation different is that, according to prosecutors, it may no longer matter what Diddy says or does. Authorities have confirmed that video evidence submitted during discovery, including what critics refer to as the so-called freak-off tapes, is expected to be presented to a jury in open court. Sources familiar with the investigation say some of these recordings have already been shown to a grand jury in a separate proceeding, meaning they are now formally part of the legal record. The tapes were reportedly provided to the Federal Bureau of Investigation by Courtney Burgess, described as a close friend of Kim Porter. If accurate, that shifts this case from public speculation to evidentiary reality, where testimony, recordings, and sworn review, not reputation management, will ultimately decide what the jury sees and hears.
Trial starts and the jury sits. Will they be shown these tapes?
100%.
Will they have to watch it in court? Like during
100% in court in front of a room of people. And so that's the other thing that's awful. They are going to be watching basically porn for hours on end in front of people. So in front of victim one, whoever it may be, there's going to be porno played in the federal courtroom.
And victim one would have been made aware of this.
Oh, 100%. She's probably being told right now, like, this is going to be played in open court. Your sex history, your sex life is going to be talked about in open court. All of this.
And presumably then she knows that and she's pushing forward because she hasn't withdrawn.
Don't forget this. It doesn't matter if she does or she doesn't. This isn't a civil case. This is the criminal case. So she could flat out tell the federal government, I don't want to participate. And they can say, we don't care. This is a crime. Crimes are against the United States, not against them. Keep calling her victim one, but don't forget, she's a witness to a crime. So it doesn't matter. She went to them in today and said, I'm not participating. Their response, we don't care. Get your ass on.
A new statement has added even more fuel to the fire. Tupac Shakur's former girlfriend, Desiree Smith, appeared on an episode of The Art of Dialogue and delivered what she described as deeply disturbing allegations involving Diddy. Smith claimed she personally knows victims who say they were sexually assaulted, including one woman who was allegedly attacked as retaliation after walking in on Diddy during a private encounter. According to Smith's account, the victim was later drugged and assaulted while Diddy's security allegedly stood by and watched. These claims have not been proven in court, but coming from someone connected to multiple figures at the center of the story, they have intensified scrutiny and raised urgent questions about what witnesses knew and how long these allegations were kept out of public view.
I know a lot of people that know him. I met one of his old security guards and I've been to the tea about him. Weird shit. Liking strap-ons. I met this girl one time that did a photo shoot for him. It's a nice young lady from Canada. And me and her ended up going on vacation together. And a few months later, and she told me something that she saw go down at his house in the Hamptons. And then a few months later, she told me that she went hanging out with like his bodyguard and his entourage and somebody drugged her and she doesn't know what happened. So none of this is alarming. And then she went back to Canada. So.
And how long ago was this? Was this in the 90s?
This was in the 2000s. Maybe like around 2004, 2006, somewhere around there. He's been doing.
Despite everything that has surfaced, the allegations, the testimony, and even publicly released video showing Diddy violently assaulting Cassie, there are still people in his inner circle who continue to stand by him. For many watching from the outside, that loyalty is almost as disturbing as the accusations themselves. When evidence becomes visible and support doesn't waver, it raises a deeper question. Is this denial, fear, or the kind of power that keeps people silent even when the truth is no longer hidden?
All I seen was people fucking each other, kissing each other, getting sucked, getting ate. I seen all that. That's typical though. So I don't understand how freak-offs can be a crime when everybody's just gonna be fucking on each other anyway. A bunch of rich people snorting coke and fucking on each other and drunk. If that's a freak-off, then I like to go back to it. I like to go back to a freak-off. I like fucking celebrity business. And that's the fun thing about the freak-offs. In my time when I was there, it was like celebrities was fucking each other. Like all the movie stars and all the actresses was fucking like it was nothing. They was on that powder heavy, but they was fucking, hey, how you doing? What's down with you? Oh yeah. That's how it was. So I liked the freak-offs, so I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but it was fun to me when I was young and I was there. It was fun to me. I was a kid in a candy store looking at all these actresses that you grow up watching, you hear them, and these sucking dick and fucking and doing powder and all types of wild
With his
foolish.
legal options narrowing, Diddy has shifted to a new defense, claiming the charges against him are racially motivated. Through his attorneys, he now argues that he is being targeted because he is a successful black man, insisting that those coming after him are driven by jealousy rather than evidence. His legal team has reportedly filed motions seeking to dismiss the prostitution-related charges, citing racial bias and selective prosecution. Critics, however, point out the stark contrast between that argument and the volume of testimony, video evidence, and corroborating accounts now in the public record. As the case moves forward, the question becomes unavoidable. Is this a legitimate claim of injustice, or a last resort narrative designed to deflect from the allegations themselves?
Sean Combs asked the judge in his federal case to throw out one of the charges. He says he's being targeted because he's a black man and the charge is rooted in racism. I look at Combs' argument and his chances of success. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Sean Diddy Combs wants one of the counts in his federal superseding indictment thrown out. Combs argues he's basically being singled out by federal prosecutors because of his race and his success in business. The charge he wants the judge to toss is count 3.
Diddy's legal team is now pointing to the conditions of the facility where he's being held, describing the Metropolitan Detention Center as dangerous and unlivable. According to filings and reported complaints, inmates have allegedly been served spoiled food, with some accounts even claiming maggot infestations. Diddy now argues that his life is at risk inside the MDC, claiming other inmates are targeting him because of the nature of the charges. In prison culture, accusations involving abuse place someone at the very bottom of the hierarchy, and those labeled as such rarely survive in general population. That fear, critics say, explains why Diddy is fighting so aggressively to remain in a special housing unit, not as a privilege, but as protection, as the pressure inside and outside the jail continues to close in.
But the conditions of the prison are far from homey, notoriously described as, quote, dreadful, as one judge put it. Some on the bench have even moved away from sending nonviolent defendants there. In April, a group of detainees that prosecutors said were MS-13 gang members in court documents stabbed an inmate 44 times in an attack caught on camera. 2 shivs were recovered from the attack. You see them here. The victim survived. And in the last 3 years alone, 4 inmates have died by suicide. And violence is not the only issue. Accusations of medical neglect, staffing shortages, smuggling of drugs, some allegedly facilitated by employees. At least 6 staff members charged with crimes in the last 5 years, according to the AP. Some accused of accepting bribes and providing contraband.
You know, no jail or prison is expected to be a 5-star hotel. We know that. But it's not supposed to be a house of horrors either.
Yeah, the troubled and violent Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn housing Sean Diddy Combs raided by the feds today. They're investigating poor conditions, rampant drug smuggling, mounting violence, and repeated inmate deaths.
Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles live at the scene in Sunset Park with what's really going on. Darla.
Well, Bill, the Bureau of Prisons will only say this is an interagency operation to maintain a safe environment. But sources tell ABC News that inmates are not the target, and attorneys who've been seeing clients here for years say the timing is very curious.
Former NBC inmate Larry Levine has issued a stark warning about what he says would happen if Diddy were placed in general population. According to Levine, inmates at the Metropolitan Detention Center include individuals serving life sentences, many with histories of extreme violence, and stabbings inside the facility are not uncommon. He claims white-collar detainees are routinely housed alongside violent offenders, creating an environment where high-profile inmates face constant risk. Levine has gone as far as to allege that Diddy would be attacked at the first opportunity if protections were removed. These fears are amplified by the MDC's own troubled history, including a 2019 case in which jail management was found to have attempted to cover up an inmate's death. Whether or not Levine's claims prove accurate, they underscore why the facility's conditions and who is truly safe inside it are now under intense scrutiny.
They're going to put some bars of soap in a sock and boom, they're going to pop him over the head and split his head open like a watermelon. They cannot GP him at all. There's a better chance of Jesus appearing in front of us right now than him making general population. He's safe where he is at. There's no reason to move him. And this nonsense about him getting bail, they're never going to give him bail. He wants to go to Essex County, New Jersey, to go to a cushy jail there. Remember, he's not a federal inmate. He's a U.S. Marshal detainee. So they just house him at MDC. And in order to send him to Jersey, they would have to transport him back and forth several times a week with like 6 marshals. They put him in one car, and there'd be a car behind him and a car in front of him. They're not going to do that. So his life essentially at this point is just screwed.
It is not getting good reviews. I mean, not that it should, but you know, there should be basic human rights. And this place has faced intense scrutiny amid a spat of vicious inmates, you know, going after each other badly, complaints about dismal living conditions, including maggot-infested food, filthy cells, power outages. Apparently they go weeks without any sort of heat, which is, you know, not good, especially as the cold rears its head. These apparent conditions were brought to the spotlight during the trial of Maxwell. You know, I can't say the full thing. You know, the notorious Madame of Jeffy, when her attorney ripped the facility for the reprehensible and utterly inappropriate facilities. She complained about using the bathroom, which was an open sewer drain, rats running around, rotten maggot-infested food, freezing temperatures for roughly a week when an electrical fire caused all the light and heatings to go out in the building. Apparently, violence-plagued federal lockup made headlines when it was hit with the claims that the staff had allegedly covered up a knifing at one point.
And there you have it. Sean Diddy Combs' legal troubles continue to spiral, with each new leak making the situation look more serious than the last. From secret late-night hospital transfers to courtroom turmoil, bribery allegations, and deeply disturbing testimony, the picture that's emerging is one of chaos, not closure. This case is far from over. And while powerful connections and influence may have delayed accountability so far, the growing weight of evidence raises the only question that still matters. How much longer can Diddy outrun justice before it finally catches up?
Let's get all these ladies at a party. You know, for years, P. Diddy's gotten a hall pass. He's actually created his own kingdom where he makes his own rules, and you got to follow his rules or you get penalized. And guess what, Laura? He's now in a federal penitentiary, and for the first time in his life, he's facing his own fate at the hands of somebody else. And I will tell you, Laura, I've done federal cases, that's not the place you want to be in federal court. 90% of federal criminal indictments brought down are pled out, right? A plea deal is brought. And of the only 10% left, 90% of those defendants that go to trial, they lose. So he is looking at a daunting uphill battle to fight these horrible charges.
Now, Brian, one of the DHS agents involved in this raid on his Miami mansion described what he saw inside the house, saying that, in my opinion, he's as bad as Epstein. These women are young, either barely legal or barely illegal. Brian, this sounds like he was a monster.
Yeah, Laura, I will tell you that this indictment was very detailed, by the way, too. Your viewers should know there were over 300 subpoenas served, over 50 witnesses interviewed. Why is that important? Because the federal prosecutors aren't going to be leveling an indictment like this unless they have ammunition and they have cause.
So what do you think? Is Diddy still pulling strings behind the scenes? Or is he finally running out of moves? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And stay tuned for more updates, because as more details surface and more voices come forward, this story isn't slowing down. It's only getting more complicated.